Hey there, everybody. Welcome to another Train Sim Classic video. We've got another new engine to look at that comes to us by way of machine rail. And this is another commission that's been in the works for, I want to say, close to about 2 years now. This, of course, being the Western Maryland or Wild Mary I-2 class 210 Decapod. Now, this was initially released on December 20th. It's going to come, of course, with the locomotive, 55-foot hoppers in two colors or liveries, and a steel caboose, and it's going to run you a scant 16 bucks. That's it, 16 bucks. I'll link down below where you can go and find it, of course. But the I-2 is a 210 Decapod, and the result of the sheer popularity of the H9s that the Wild Mary had, or the Connies 280s. So they took that and retained its 61-inch drivers and added another driving axle, and added about a third overall width and length, including a massive, absolutely massive tender. Now, these were built off the back, basically, of the Baldwin L1s, which was built for the Pennsylvania Railroad. So it's kind of the same ballpark there as far as the engine. But they were well loved. It was not that way initially. The average top speed initially was around 40 for comfortable train handling and cruise back then anyway. But the I-2s often damaged track, leading eventually to the Reading, whatever you want to call it, railroad, banning their locomotive use on their line because they were tired of repairing the tracks when these big chonkers would go over them. So in turn, and essentially for spite, the Western Maryland banned the Reading 210s from their lines. So nobody could run. Everybody took their ball and they went home, so nobody could run on anybody else's line. So they came together, they hugged it out eventually, and re-allowed usage of each other's big boy. Well, I can't say big boy, obviously, but they're large boy locomotives to run on the others' railroads, of course, increasing and getting back to the revenue that they desired. Now, through the I-2's lifespan, the Western Maryland replaced rods with some lighter weight counterparts. Essentially, they did a ton of rebalancing, which eventually led to better train handling overall and higher speed. But then again, I mean, 40 miles an hour back then for a big coal drag, hell, even today's standards, that's still pretty quick. But anyway, the steam pressure was also increased from 225 to 240 psi, also therefore increasing the tractive effort 6,000 pounds more. Now, once it was all ironed out, the I-2s were considered one of the best units for mainline operation, doing just about everything on the Wild Mary that they threw at it, aside from smaller branch lines and, small spurs and all that good stuff, naturally, due to the size, because they were obviously pretty chunky. So 20 of the units were built in total. So those 20 units that were built in total of the I-2 class, I think the number range would have been 111 or 1,111 through 1,130 or 1130. Now, there was also a previous, I guess they just called the I-1 class, and another number range there. But Baldwin built these beginning in 1927. They had an overall wheelbase at almost 9,300 feet. Things were pretty big, especially around those parts. The total engine and tender weight was at 835,000 pounds plus, and had almost 100,000 pounds of tractive effort. Now, I put down the old Wild Mary Connie right next to the I-2. So the I-2's right here, obviously, because they essentially took the Connie because they liked it so dang much. It did good work, and they just made it larger. So in a lot of respects, it's almost the same engine as mentioned before, with a lot of variants, of course. Naturally, it was a bit newer. I think with the H9s, they started building those in 1921. So I mean, technology overall had advanced over, what, 7 years almost. So some things had certainly changed, but you can see the size difference. So I put cab to cab. It's kind of funny. The cab looks bigger on the H9 by a bit. It could be the weather protector bit on the back there with the spoiler. It may be a bit larger. It looks like it actually is a bit larger overall. But yeah, it's weird. It looks like the H9 cab is actually larger, but it's almost an identical engine plus, you know, an extra driving axle. And then, Jesus, look at the tender. It's got to be, I don't remember the specs, sorry, but it's got to be double the coal and easily double the water. That's why these things were built in the first place, so they wouldn't have to keep stopping over and over again, you know, to take on water and coal for fuel. So I just thought it'd be interesting to put the H9s or the 280s down next to the I-2 or the Decaboys. And it is much more chunk. That tender, the tender's got to be as big as the engine, if not larger. Back here with the pack, you're going to get two types of gondolas. You're going to get the red or brick color and black. Two of them I just put coal loads in there, and they look pretty good too. They have that old school kind of, you know, nowadays when you get coal loads, you'll kind of get that flat sheared top, you know, like somebody took a hot knife through butter or something like that. Back in the days, it didn't really look like that, or from pictures or video, obviously. These things look pretty good. But someone noted, I think it was on Facebook, that these exact 55 tonners, or sorry, 55 footers, the ribs on the side didn't quite look the same. I don't know if it's because it's old photos, but they look like they were a bit more flat. You know, and just, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm seeing them in 3D and it's just a different kind of ball game, if you know what I mean. They look somewhat to the part. I mean, you know, for the most part, they are good looking hoppers, very nice looking, fantastic looking model. Just some good look. I love the painted axles as well. That's cool. But they are very good looking models, and you get two of them, which is nice. So, yeah, the loads look good as well. And then you're going to, of course, get the old steel caboose complete with totally animated and built and modeled internals all throughout. We'll go over that in a minute. The markers also work when you're pulling a train. You got some weathering along the bottom. Machine Rail has done some serious work. They've put in some serious work over the years. You know, continuing to upgrade and just fine-tune things where they can be fine-tuned, and it has certainly shown over the years. This stuff looks really good. All right, now let's get down to business, the part where I very poorly operate a steam locomotive. We'll start with the headlight. Of course, the H key. Again, Machine Rail bringing that heat, bringing that spice with a very, very nice, very era-appropriate color and look. There's no crazy kind of, what's the word, the starburst-looking thing, flare. It sits very nicely. Even sometimes with some of the nicer-looking flares in Trains of Classic, when you get on the very edge, it'll sometimes leave like a weird thing. These don't do that. They look very clean. You get on the edge of it like that where you don't see the light emitted anymore. There's no weird artifact in front of it, so it looks extremely good. I mean, there's literally no point in sitting here going over the look of the model, because we all know by now Machine Rail does things pretty faithfully. The model looks fantastic. Now the safeties are pissing in the wind, so let's get this thing on the move and we'll continue talking about it. I think I got about a 30 car train here. We're on a 0.7% grade, so the incline or the start will be interesting. Let's go ahead and hop in this bad girl. Oh dear God. Let me turn the volume down for you guys. All right, let's get her going. I do notice upon loading in the cab that I have two brake handles, which is odd, but as soon as you touch the control, it goes to one. We'll go ahead and release the train brake. Reverse her all the way forward. Give her a little bit of juice. You do have animated characters in here as well, which is neat. You can get rid of those by hitting the J key. Et voila, they are gone. Windows work naturally. Can even open the front vent, the top vent. All right, let's get going. The bell sounds nice. The whistle, of course, sounds nice. Thing has a very deep and pronounced percussive drum beat to the chuff. All right, let's get rid of those safeties. Come on. Oh, wheel slip. All right, let's go ahead and turn the sand on. That should give us some better adhesion. There we go, 100%. All right, we'll try and let some of the steam get used up here, so those safeties, there they go. Thank God. All right, I'll turn the volume up. While we get going here, let's listen to the rolling stock and see if that's changed at all. We'll do a little run-by view here. Feel like I'm still screaming because of the safeties. So the railcar sounds are about the same. I mean, to me, they have the same kind of beginning of audio clip and then end and it restarts. There's no kind of smooth or gradualness overall. And it also depends in the way that you're looking in the game, or the way that you're angled. If you're angled like this, it sounds totally different, or at least to me, sitting here with headphones on, naturally. But it's got that old rail car sound. You know, it's not too loud, it's not too quiet. There goes the caboose, clackety clack. It, of course, is much lighter, so it's going to sound a little bit different. Get back on the loco. You can open the sand dome covers with a V key, which I think is a neat little feature. Plenty of kitty litter inside of there. You can open the cacks with the C key, naturally. Very good. This thing can pull really, really well, though. Let's get back in the cab first. Look over here at our lighting controls. Here is the gauge lights. Back out here so you can see. We'll turn them back off and on again. Here are the class lights. We'll take a peek at those in a minute. Here's the task light, which is like a backlighting kind of behind your head, so you can look at your paperwork, all that good stuff. And then the number board lights. Let's go outside and have a look. There's the class lights. I don't remember the command to change the color. I know on some of Machine Rail's older stuff or Diesel Workshop, it was like Shift U. But I don't know. It's not in the manual. They did include a manual. It is, you know, fairly in depth as far as the history and operating the locomotive and stuff like that. But I'd also like to be completely transparent in the fact that when I first purchased this thing yesterday, I was having an issue with it where the firebox would glow from some sort of emitter, and it just looked like there was a fire underneath the engine. It was the weirdest thing, and not only did it happen in the editor, but it happened in the game as well. So I went in the game and deleted the firelight bin so that wouldn't emit anymore and kind of ruin my experience, so to speak. Now, in a couple of hours, Machine Rail came out with a patch apparently addressing that issue, saying that the initial download may have been corrupt or something like that. I have yet to install that and give it a go. But as of right now, I just deleted the Firelight bin, and I'm not getting anything different. I guess they changed something with engines over the last several engines, because I don't remember anything like that before. I went through and tried all kinds of stuff, cleared my cache, turned off Railworks Enhancer, restarted my PC, pretty much everything under the sun you could think of, and it was still present. So, of course, I reinstalled it several times to no avail. I just deleted it. Apparently, like I said, they have, fixed it since then. But I just wanted to be clear with that. So here's your light switches over here. You've got this window here that'll go up and down, which is neat. You've got your fuse panel back here. You can't do anything, but it's all there, which is kind of cool. You can see all the individual fuses. You've got your cab light, which is, it's like this little plunger switch right here, which is kind of cool. And then here are your headlight controls right here. But it does look very, very nice in here. As usual, machine rail, bringing the heat again inside and out with the weathering, the texturing. I'm sure you can always refine or hone your craft, but they are on top of it, and they have been for quite some time now. That being said, let's go down here. Shoot. We need to check the track first. Sorry. Okay, this is not ideal. It's fine. We're good. No, we're good. Let's try the Doppler effect on the whistle, because in the notes for the download or the add-on, they note working with one of the boyos from Searchlight Simulations on some things, as well as others. The guy from DSG DDR, as far as the scripting for the engine and things like that. So they're working with some more, community, third-party devs, which is neat, trying to just bring it all together and bring some really good stuff to us here for North American Train Sim Classic. That does sound really good. Let's see how far away we can get with it. I would love to one day have the kind of quilling effect that you can sort of do with the smoke box stuff. Where, what is it? You hold the shift key, I think, in the space bar. I've tried that. It's not in here. It didn't say anything about that in the manual. But, I mean, if, like, these things are already like 9 out of 10 for me, just about every time. But if we had those, it would be like 9.5, damn near 10 out of 10. Every time. Let's go as far as we can without hearing the... I know it's not a big deal to a lot of you, but I want to see if we can hear it from a good distance, because you certainly could with these things back in the day, and even the ones that run now. Yeah, you can still definitely hear it coming around the bend there. Let's go down here next to this signal. By the way, we are not on Wild Mary territory. I'm on the Boston and Albany. Yes, I am idiot, but I like the way this route looks, so I'm using it. Yeah, you can still hear it. So it sounds like the audio Doppler for the whistle is cool. Like I said, the quilling would be nice. But to go over where you can run this thing is obviously you've got two really good candidates. You've got the Hanover sub, and then, of course, the B&O Mountain sub. Now, both of those are not 100% prototypical, but they are not completely out of the equation either. It would not have been... terribly outlandish to see these things working back in there. Now, the Hanover, probably not so much. B&O, yeah, especially around Cumberland and that whole area where the WM lines are. But you could easily run them on both routes, both of which are probably High Iron Simulation's best routes, in the game compared to some of their last routes. So that's always nice to have as well. We're moving now. We're doing almost 40 mile an hour. Let's get back in the cab. You've got different views you can do. Head out. Firebox. Fireman. And then a middle shot, which is really cool. But then there's something else you can do, which I found by accident. You hit the F4 key and then hit the hangout or head out camera. You can actually get down on the drivers, which is pretty badass, especially when you're kind of starting out, watching these things work, watching the reverser move, all that good stuff. And if you hit the arrow key, you can get on the top, right behind the stack and the bell. I mean, how cool is that? And look at the modeling up here, man. This engine looks fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. You can definitely be a safe and sound rivet counter with this thing. All right, let's see if they added some rod chatter. So one of the things with these engines in the past from Machine Rail is that they wouldn't always have rod chatter or clanking when you pulled the power off. So let's go ahead and do that now. We'll get up next to the engine. It damn sure do. Yeah, it's not over the top, but it's there. It's almost like you can hear the squirters as well for the oil. Yeah, it's there now. That is very cool. Drop the reverser. You can see the gear doing its thing there. That's all the way forward. That's all the way out. And then negative, which is obviously reverse. We'll set it to about 50 and give it some more power. Back away here a little bit. Thing looks good. It sounds really good. Now, I don't know if this is how these would have sounded. To be honest, I guess the closest kind of rendition you could get would be maybe the 90 from Strasbourg, which is almost pretty much the same engine to a degree. But anyway, let's go ahead and see how the brakes work on here, and let's look at our gauges as well. It's saying that we don't have any steam pressure, which is not optimal. All right, so power all the way off. Oh, there we go. So yeah, that might be like a scripting issue. So this is power all the way off, and I just touch it, and the needle goes boom over 250. And then every time you touch it, the needle goes up. So yeah, that might be an issue they need to iron out there. I don't believe that should be doing that. But the animations in here are nice as well. Oh, what did I just hit? I think I hit the sander. Yeah, I did. Okay. If you want to play fireman and engineer, you have got all that at your fingertips in here. All your injectors, water test valves. You've got your blower in here, the stoker. The firebox is even animated. We'll try and get in there and take a look at it in a second. Pretty much everything you can think of. I use auto fireman like a complete pleb because steam scares me. Still like it all the same though. We'll go ahead and throw some air down on it and get stopped here. So yeah, grabbing air is not insane. It actually grabs a little bit depending on where you place, you know, the brake handle position naturally. So I'm just trying to grab little by little here. Damn it, I released it like an idiot. We'll go outside and see if we can hear anything with the braking. accidentally released it again like a dingus. There we go. That's just about full on. Let's stop here in the actual sunlight. We can take a look at this thing as well. That safety's going to be popping here in a minute, though, guys. Prepare yourself. Man, that sounds pretty good. The animation is very smooth as well. Let's just take a moment to appreciate this thing. All the grease and crap just dripping down the front plate there over the smoke box. The weathering up in here above the pistons. Got your little valve oil deal there with the sight glass in there. We're kind of creeping, but that's just a train sim limitation thing overall. All the grease and oil streaks on the rods themselves. The axles look really good as well. I feel like they've kind of touched up the way their axles look overall over their last few add-ons. Not just so much with the model, but the texturing of them as well. They look really, really nice. They're not overly shiny, they're not overly dark, and they're not too thick and have that kind of weird plastic toy look. They look pretty damn spot on. This thing, of course, was more new age, had the stoker, so the firemen didn't have to sit there and get tennis elbow over and over again, scraping that stuff in the firebox. Western Maryland Fireball. God, one of the best looking East Coast logos for sure. Look at this thing, man. Absolutely huge. Hoppers look good as well. Let's go ahead and go back and look at the caboose. You can hear this thing creeping. Let's just dump the emergency. There we go. Again, looks epic in here. You've got your little bed right here. You got some kind of orders or maybe who knows what the hell right there. Lamps. See if you can actually touch anything in here. Electrical box. There's the baño. Yo tengo el baño. It's in the caboose. These guys had it made. Some coffee cups. You got your stove. Checkers, cards, calendar, 1943. Your cowboy hat up there. Your sink. We'll go up here. Same deal. We've got a map right here of the Western Maryland Railway. So that's a nice little touch. Nice little custom touch because this is Western Maryland equipment. They didn't just do some random ass map, which is nice. See if we can get up in the cupola boopola. There we go. Very nice. Very nice. And then that view right there, man. When this thing's going, let's see. We'll take one last view here. Oh, I don't know why you can hear the whistling here that loud. Holy hell, that jump scare. I don't know if that sound is supposed to be in here like that, but it is. And it definitely startled me a bit. See if we can get going here. We're on a 0.8% grade right now. Like I said, I think I got about a 30 car, and if you're on thereabouts 1% or close to, you should be all right. You could easily throw another one of these on the back and do 50, 60. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. But another really good product from Machine Rail. You know, as I mentioned earlier, a couple of people, myself included, noted, you know, maybe a couple of things that might have had issues, and they had a patch dropped within hours. I mean, maybe 4 hours, if that. And if you have not bought this yet, just be aware that if you do purchase it, the said patch should be in what you buy. So it's not going to be a thing where you got to get the original file and then get the patch. It's just going to be all in one. It's going to already be fixed if you purchase it. It does come with a manual, you know, that comes within the zip file, or you can look at it within your manual folder within, you know, Railworks, obviously. But this thing looks good. I will be using this on the Hanover and the B&O with the Wild Mary, because we got the weathered Wild Mary, the regular Wild Mary, and the original Wild Mary H9 280. So we got all kinds of steam stuff that we can kind of use. Hopefully people get on the ball and maybe make some scenarios with a lot of this equipment, because that would be very, very nice to see. But the I-2 class from Machine Rail, 16 bucks. I'll link it down below where you can go and find this thing. But I think that's going to do it for me, guys. Thanks for watching. See you next time.